I want to ask you about Jay-Z's album.
I think it's genius. Like all of his projects, I thought it was really good.
I would hope he would think about it and this would be in his mind, but I wouldn't actually know what another person is feeling.
Jay-Z, the billionaire rap icon who rose from the streets of Marcy projects to build a global empire, now finds himself at the center of a storm that threatens everything he's built. But this isn't about old rivalries or hidden messages in lyrics. This time, the scandal is personal, deeply personal. Multiple individuals have stepped forward, claiming they're his biological children left behind, unacknowledged, and silenced for years. These aren't random internet rumors. These are real voices, with real stories raised by single mothers who say they struggled in silence while Jay-Z built an empire off loyalty and generational wealth. And now, they're speaking out. No more secrecy. The claims are exploding across social media, leaking into courtrooms, and coming from family members who say they've kept quiet for far too long. What happens when the image of a king is shaken by the ghosts of a past he thought would never return?
I don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy and none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
Jay-Z, the billionaire rap icon who rose from the streets of Marcy projects to build a global empire, now finds himself at the center of a storm that threatens everything he's built. But this isn't about old rivalries or hidden messages in lyrics. This time, the scandal is personal, deeply personal. Multiple individuals have stepped forward, claiming they're his biological children left behind, unacknowledged, and silenced for years. These aren't random internet rumors. These are real voices, with real stories raised by single mothers who say they struggled in silence while Jay-Z built an empire off loyalty and generational wealth. And now, they're speaking out. No more secrecy. The claims are exploding across social media, leaking into courtrooms, and coming from family members who say they've kept quiet for far too long. What happens when the image of a king is shaken by the ghosts of a past he thought would never return?
No, this part is not alleged. Jay-Z and his team, they have been ducking and dodging, taking the...
It all exploded when a 28-year-old woman named Letitia Mayer posted a jaw-dropping video claiming she's Jay-Z's long-lost daughter. And this isn't just about a passing resemblance. Letitia says the Mirror doesn't lie. Her claims are backed by relatives, including a woman who dropped this online bomb. "I introduced your mom and dad years ago." That one line shook the industry. But Letitia's not alone. Enter Raimir Satwait, who spent over a decade in court, pleading with Jay-Z to take a simple DNA test. Instead of answers, he's run into a legal wall that looks less like justice and more like a billion-dollar defense strategy designed to bury the truth.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact.
Jay-Z's legal team calls the allegations harassment and extortion, but if that's all it is, why avoid a simple DNA test? It's not like the technology is lacking. Behind the scenes, though, whispers suggest a different story, one that reportedly involves Beyoncé. Known for guarding their brand with surgical precision, insiders say she drew a hard line. Keep these claims away or risk it all. That could explain Jay-Z's silence. Fear of fallout? Or loyalty to the queen? And yet, sources from inside Rock Nation claim he's not as distant as he seems. Rumors swirl about a secret fund off the books, payments for rent, tuition, and quiet support, all sealed under NDAs. Beyoncé allegedly discovered it in 2022, triggering a Cold War in the Carter home. No divorce talk, but no fairy tale either. Let's not forget, Jay-Z already admitted infidelity. But this isn't about cheating. It's about legacy. It's about two adults who may carry Carter DNA and what that means for the billion-dollar brand built around Blue Ivy and the twins. If true, The dynasty isn't just cracked, it's splintered.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
Let's be clear, this isn't some isolated accusation or a viral publicity grab. This is a pattern. Two people from entirely different states and walks of life are telling stories that align too closely to ignore. Same timelines, same resistance, and the most disturbing part, both accounts hint at something bigger or quiet. Well-oiled machine where hush money replaces fatherhood, and preserving an image takes priority over owning the truth.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Silen. You got it. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your whooped.
And then there's a Diddy connection, because when it rains, it doesn't just pour, it hurricanes. Jay-Z's long-standing ties to Sean Diddy Combs are now facing serious heat, especially as the bad boy mogul fights off a tidal wave of lawsuits. Jay-Z's sudden silence while his former ally Free falls into scandal hasn't gone unnoticed. Some say it's strategic, Jay quietly severing ties before the fallout hits him. Others believe he's bracing for impact, knowing that one accusation from Diddy's growing list of accusers could pull him into the same legal abyss. And let's not forget, both men were just named in a joint civil suit, accused of unthinkable acts at a music industry party back in 2000. Jay-Z has denied every word vehemently, even daring the plaintiff to go criminal. But the optics, they're nuclear.
How did you feel initially when Beyoncé started dating Jay-Z, who is very successful, but he's also, generally considered a gangster rapper?
Zoom out, and the image that forms isn't just chaotic, it's seismic. A man praised for his raw truth and billionaire brilliance now stands accused of concealing something as primal as blood. A wife once idolized as flawless and all-knowing is rumored to be drawing hard lines behind closed doors. And somewhere, far from the flash of cameras, two adults are left questioning their own reflections, haunted by the possibility that the world's most iconic rapper might be the invisible thread in their DNA. So the real question is, what else is Jay-Z hiding? And how long can silence shield the truth before it shatters? Because silence, like secrets, always has a breaking point.
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
Now, with the internet in flames and the accusations refusing to die down, the silence is thunderous. Jay-Z hasn't said a word, not in interviews, not through statements, not even in one of his trademark cryptic bars. And this time, the public isn't mistaking silence for strength. The hashtag take the test is flooding timelines like a digital revolt. Thousands are asking the obvious. If there's nothing to hide, why not prove it? Tweets are going viral with side-by-side comparisons, Jay-Z and the alleged children tagged with captions like "Mirror, mirror, and DNA doesn't lie." Fans who once swore by him are now demanding answers. And the backlash? It's not just trending. It's bleeding into his brand, his business empire, and the pristine image he's built for decades, because this isn't just about fatherhood anymore. It's about control. And if there's one thing the Carters have mastered, it's controlling the narrative. Every beat drop, every tour date, every red carpet shot timed to perfection. But now, that grip is slipping, and it's unfamiliar territory. Insiders whisper that the current strategy is to starve the story, let it fade from exhaustion. But that only works if the public loses interest. And they haven't. Not when new lawsuits surface, old interviews resurface, and fresh voices come forward, each one turning the silence into something heavier, like an unspoken confession hanging in the air.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nephew.
Now, the spotlight isn't just on Jay-Z, it's creeping toward Beyoncé. For years, she's been seen as untouchable, the queen of reinvention, a maestro of image control. But this scandal, it's messy, it's generational, and it's clinging to her flawless brand like mud on a white gown. Some suggest her silence isn't about loyalty, it's about preservation. Because if Jay-Z were to validate even one of these claims, what happens to the Carter legacy? What happens to the carefully crafted story that Blue Ivy is the firstborn, the heir to a billion-dollar empire? If the narrative cracks, if the world starts reordering the Carter bloodline, does the entire dynasty start to wobble? The questions are no longer just about paternity. They're about power, legacy, and the price of staying silent when the truth is pounding at the gates.
Jay-Z new video with Nas and DJ Khaled, it's a scene with checkerboards. These are all occult Satanists.
Then there's the issue of Beyoncé's half-siblings. Yes, more than one. She's never publicly acknowledged them. No interviews, no family portraits, no subtle nods in glossy spreads or self-produced documentaries. Nothing. And that silence? It's starting to speak volumes. Fans are beginning to question, is this about protecting her children or protecting the image? Because once the flawless veneer cracks, once the world sees that even Queen Bey's empire has its fractures, what else starts to fall apart? Insiders say she's livid, but not because of the scandal itself, because it wasn't neutralized before it went public. Because the machine failed. This should have been locked in legal vaults, spun out of existence by bulletproof PR. Instead, it leaked. And for someone like Beyoncé, whose empire thrives on precision and power, that's unacceptable. A former executive who worked closely with Parkwood Entertainment revealed they run media monitoring like it's military surveillance. Any whisper about her family, especially paternity rumors, is treated like a national threat. To her brand, yes, but also to her sense of control. Beyoncé doesn't do mess. She does legacy.
By the way, wasn't this all around the time when Aaliyah died?
Yeah.
And Beyonce's solo career was struggling?
And legacy, that's the real currency on the line. Blue Ivy's Grammy wins, her poised appearances at premieres, the quiet power she carries on every red carpet, all of it rests on the narrative that she's the daughter of two untouchable legends. But if it's true that her father spent decades dodging paternity claims, quietly moving money through hidden accounts to support secret families, that image doesn't just crack. It collapses, even without a courtroom verdict. The stain of doubt lingers. And in the world of billion-dollar brands, perception is everything. It fuels endorsements, streaming exclusives, global tours. If even one of Jay-Z's alleged children is confirmed, the fallout won't stop at headlines. It could trigger a legal war. The Carter estate, valued at over $2 billion, would instantly become contested territory. Inheritance disputes, trust realignments, succession drama, all would erupt. Blue Ivy, long seen as the rightful heir to the dynasty, could suddenly face rivals not only in name, but in blood. And if more than one claimant steps forward with evidence, then the entire legacy shifts. Because it's no longer about who inherits the empire, it's about how much of it was built while keeping the truth buried. And how long that truth can stay buried now.
Potential heirs in the dark.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
But beyond the billions, beyond the battle over estates and trust funds, lies a quieter, more haunting cause: the emotional toll. What happens to a person who grows up believing their father is one of the most powerful men in music, yet has never once said their name? For alleged children like Ramir and Latasha, it hasn't just been about DNA, it's been about silence. About watching from the sidelines as the man they claim as their father collects awards, shapes pop culture, and becomes a global icon, while they navigate life in the shadows. No private jets, no magazine spreads, just court hearings, internet, vitriol, and a lifetime of wondering why their existence had to be hidden. Their lives were forged not in fame, but in survival, in carrying the weight of being someone's most inconvenient truth. And if the day ever comes when they are publicly acknowledged, what then? Will they be embraced? Or simply checked off in court documents and kept out of frame? The public may celebrate justice, but real family doesn't always follow the script. These kinds of wounds don't heal with holiday cards and public reunions. And if Bianchi's influence over the narrative is as far-reaching as insiders claim, these children might receive legal recognition, but be left out of the story entirely. No interviews, no documentaries, no seats beside Blue Ivy at the Grammys, just a footnote in a legacy that still pretends they were never there.
A lot of potential. Jay was more quiet. But I mean, I learned that Jay was being quiet because he was taking notes. He was taking notes, observing everything, taking it all in. Because, sometimes you're around and you're watching to see things to do. But some people are around.
And then there's the generational burden, the weight no one chose, but everyone inherits. Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir were born into a world of velvet robes, legacy press coverage, and perfectly choreographed moments. Their childhoods have unfolded behind palace gates of fame and precision. But what happens when they start scrolling? When they see headlines, TikToks, and whispers that suggest they might not be the only Carters? That somewhere out there are siblings, real ones who grew up without the cameras, the Grammys, or the red carpet treatment. Does that spark confusion, compassion, or an unraveling of everything they thought was true? Because in today's world, bloodlines aren't just biological, they're public narratives. And how that blood was acknowledged, ignored, or hidden matters. The Carter brand has always been about control, about telling the story before the world asks the questions. But if these alleged children step into the light armed with receipts, public sympathy, or legal backing, the Carters won't just have to defend their image, they'll have to redefine their family. And that kind of reckoning doesn't just shake headlines, it reshapes history.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is filled with gangsters.
The lawsuits alone tell their own story. Multiple cases still active across state lines, each layered with accusations far beyond paternity. We're talking procedural fraud, constitutional violations, especially in the case of Remir Satwait. His filings don't just name Jay-Z. They name New Jersey judges, sealed court records, and even alleged misconduct by Jay-Z's legal team. It doesn't read like a typical custody dispute, it reads like a legal thriller. And here's the thing, the courts haven't confirmed Jay-Z's paternity, but they haven't silenced the suspicion either. Every procedural delay, every case dismissal, every change in jurisdiction only deepens the mystery. Because if it's all baseless, why does it keep coming back? Why hasn't it disappeared? Even voices from Jay-Z's past are starting to speak. Former Rockefeller affiliate Oshino recently claimed that Jay-Z purchased a house for Lisa Misser, the same woman alleging to be his daughter, but instructed her to never display photos of him inside. If true, that's not just privacy, that's control. Is it protection or erasure? A guilty conscience or a silent compromise? We don't know, not yet. But if that house exists, and if any of those payments are traceable, the receipts will eventually surface. And that's why the public can't look away, because this isn't just celebrity drama anymore. It's the unraveling of a legacy once seen as untouchable. With every day Jay-Z and Beyoncé stay silent, the pressure builds. Is this the beginning of a reckoning years in the making? Or just a perfectly timed waiting game, hoping the world moves on before the truth, whatever it is, finds its way to the surface?
Out tonight is a family affair. I saw your mother-in-law so proud of.
Yeah, we're going, yeah.
What we're witnessing isn't just a scandal, it's a legacy on the brink. If even one of these paternity claims holds up, the Carter empire won't crumble, but it will have to be reimagined. Not erased, they're far too powerful for that, but rewritten, undeniably. And if it's revealed that Bianca, the very symbol of empowerment and authenticity, has been quietly orchestrating efforts to suppress these stories, then the narrative shifts. The icon of strength may be recast as a gatekeeper, not just protecting her family's image, but potentially erasing real lives to maintain it.
At that time, I remember thinking, I can't be mad at her because that is what the media portrays.
So, what happens next? Will Jay-Z finally confront the truth and take the test? Will these alleged children get their voices heard or be buried beneath hush money and headlines? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, what else has been hidden behind those $1 million smiles and carefully curated lives? We want to hear from you. Are the Carters fiercely protecting their legacy or concealing secrets that could rewrite music history as we know it? Sound off in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because this is the side of the story they never wanted you to hear.